All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the formation of the Elite 100 Syndicate. It's been a long time coming. We've been drooling at the opportunity to put the combined mastermind talent of the real estate people in the Elite 100 to build a syndicate. You know, we all know what syndicates are. Some of us are part of different ones, but I think this group here, we have all the resources. We're all over the country, and we have access to all the capital. So, my first thing I want to establish, and we don't have to answer this now. My thinking is this group should be able to start this and build it over time to $1 billion under management. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I think Grant's controlling around 8 billion right now, and he's one dude. He has a team, but don't get me wrong, but we're multiple big thinkers, right? So to get to a billion under management, that could be we want to start with an end in mind, right? Like what is the purpose of this? Because we could all just do this stuff on our own, but what's the purpose of this? So, does anybody have any top level ideas? Do you like that idea? Not like it? What are you guys thinking? Ara?
It's a great idea, number one. Number two, I think we need to put a timeline for us to be able to achieve something like a billion by
Yeah,
the year 10, whatever down the line. And the only thing is I was trying to communicate on the text, which is very difficult. Um, yeah, we can bring in Elite 100 members or others. We need to find out what's the appetite of people? Are they always interested in 100-unit buildings or
well,
two
that's
family?
that's
You
on
know,
my that's later on in the agenda. Yeah, so I'm starting top level down, but absolutely, we need to identify what we all agree on. We need to part of this meeting is to find out who's doing what in the group. We need a vetting group. I'm thinking like 5 key people to vet and agree, for the fund. Michael and Chris, in my opinion, can be handling all the legal and transactions. Michael Shine, they both have title companies, and Chris Johnson is an M&A guy. He does all our stuff. So within the group, we have all the resources to do the legal part of it. Um, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't want to be that part of the deal, but I'm assuming you do, catching that part of the deal flow. And when Tyler and I were talking, certain people bring in certain expertises that they do for a living. The fund would pay those people to do their things, right? And then because probably, well, as we grow to Elite 100, right now we're at 30. There's going to just be a handful of people that are running this thing, and everybody else will be silent investors. A lot of people don't want to do a damn thing. Chris Patterson will be one of them. He's not going to want to run this thing, but he'll throw money in it, right? So there's probably quite a few people that just want to be part of this with people they know, love, and trust that are on the same frequency. And then my guess there'll be like half a dozen of us that are running it, figuring out what that is. So purpose of today is to get the structure top level down, agree on some things, and get this thing formed. So the goal, I think, well, let me do a show of hands. Who thinks $1 billion under management is a good goal? And if you think differently, raise your hand. This is not a right. So I think it's a good thing to start with because I don't see why we couldn't do it, given the people that are in a group and we're at 30 people. What happens when we get to 100? When I was talking to Tyler last week, if you have 100 people kicking 100K, it's 10 million. Never mind if they kick in a million, right? So it's the power of what we have. I don't think funding is going to be an issue. Even coming together collectively and going out to a bank with all of our collective buying power. So we should not have the normal challenges of funding, and I don't think we'll have challenges with deal flow because of the people we have in the group too. So I'm gonna put that down. Nice big fat 1 billion. Um, Tyler.
Do you want us to go around and say like if we want to be active or not and what we think that we can contribute? Or
Yeah,
is that
I have that written down too. And that the people that are here are the ones that I'm assuming are going to be active for the most part, some way, shape, or form. And a couple are not here, but yeah, I mean, anybody in the group can bring deal flow, right? If they have something, whether they're qualified to vet it or not, I don't, I think, in my opinion, I would have, you, Ara, probably Chris Johnson, maybe Kevin Dugan, Michael Stein, have like a 5-person vetting team. Once we decide the style of things we're doing, you don't want 30 people vetting something and disagree. But you want an odd number. And I'm thinking, and Ara, maybe or Tyler, but like a syndicate, you're gonna want like 3 to 5 core people that are like vetting, approving deals, right? So raise your hand if you want to be on that group. And I'll write that down. So that's the first thing. Let's
Hey
see.
Brian, on
What
that
about, raise your hands again. Sorry, I didn't get to write it down. Keep them up till I'm done. 'Cause that
on
would-
the analysis note, we probably need somebody on the team to like, or even outsource it to do initial underwriting, because that's where a lot of, legwork is done to get to the point where we can check the assumptions.
Let's see. I think I got everybody. Tyler, Ira, Kevin, Michael, and Chris, right? Cool.
Yep.
Kevin, do you know somebody, or does anybody here know somebody that can perform that duty?
I mean, my company can do all the initial underwriting on like all of our deals that come through. We're not going into like excruciating detail, but what we are doing is we're definitely doing like analysis of the market. We're looking at the rents, right? Looking at what they are, what they can be. I think so we can probably do like service level, but I think if it is an asset that we are going to push forward on, I think we'll probably need an outside person to do that like formal, like deep dive into the numbers. We have a lot of experience with, I would say 50 and below, but if we have come across something that's like 100 plus, I probably need like another set of eyes on it.
Okay.
Yeah, especially jumping to additional markets.
Yeah.
Florida is notorious for property tax jumps, same with Texas insurance, and those can significantly impact the cash flows if not dialed in
So I
as
think
accurate as it can be.
this initial team that we talked about, you guys, would be that level, right? That level of using, your resources. But it sounds like if it's a bigger deal, 100 units and up, that we're going to need some sort of a third party that would not be in the group. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking from a volume perspective, like I probably have 10, 15 deals that hit my desk a day. So that initial filter to like, okay, let's start to dive down this path a little bit deeper. Instead of, taking all of Tyler's resources, like, if you got deal flow from Texas, Florida, Connecticut, you know, Georgia, like all of a sudden there's gonna be a certain point where it's just a lot of deals to look through.
Well, there is, but there's only so many deals we'll be able to actively go into. It's the other. We don't have, we don't have 10 billion and like we can just take every deal. Initially, it's going to be one deal. Like, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get into a deal. Tyler has one vetted and ready to go. Sounds like it could be a good one. We're going to get into that towards the end of the meeting here, but we're only going to be able to take so many deals until we build, right? So initially, it's probably one deal, and then maybe 1 or 2 deals, get something going, get some cash flow, depending on what it is, flip it. More and more Elite 100 members will be coming, and we're actively growing now. So I don't think that's going to be an issue because you can only take so many deals in what we're doing. But I definitely hear what you're saying. So I think we can kind of cross that bridge as we go. We'll have a once a month meeting here or something. We'll figure out a meeting cadence. Let me write that down. And I will circulate these notes on whatever we come up with today. So let's go back to the business structure type. Mr. Johnson, have you ever structured a syndicate?
Yeah, and this really wouldn't be a syndicate. So the syndicate would be probably like a smaller group, I wouldn't consider that 30. You could call that a syndicate. Well, let me back up. So the syndication would be one property at a time generally, right? The funds, you're talking $1 billion assets under management is more of a fund structure. And then we have to ask ourselves, who are the people that are going to be investing money? Right now it's Elite 100 people. I assume all of them are accredited. But in the future, it might open it up to get $1 billion of assets under management. So it's just something to think about. So I think the question is like, do we want to start with baby steps? Do we want to set it up as a true syndication? If we've got 30 investors, you would have like an operating agreement to set up a company. You would have to have an operating structure, which I guess would be like this board of directors that we're kind of appointing to be the like GPs in essence, the operators of this entity,
Mhm.
and there would be like a simple subscription agreement. You know, I know this is all amongst friends in house, but you know, all it takes is one deal blowing up, and then especially for the
No, we
people that
wanna-
are
we wanna do it
actively
legally.
involved, they're not going to want to put themselves at risk. So that's how I would do it if it was a syndication. If you wanted to go with a fund, that's more paperwork set up, but that allows you to go after more people. And then there's even structures on top of that, where you could go after non-accredited investors in the future.
I don't think we want to do that. We can kind of show of hands here. My thinking is the Elite 100 caps at 100 seats, which means it won't be more than 100 investors because it's either husband and wife teams or partners. So that will tell you there. My thinking is to cap it at the Elite 100. Everybody in there is multimillionaires, so it's like there shouldn't be. You can get to $1 billion assets under management with those level of people continuously investing. Even if you take 100 people investing 100K a year, right? It's 10 million a year for 10 years is 100 million. Amplified out over 10 to 20 years, it's going to get to $1 billion. So my thinking is Elite 100 only, 100 seats or less. Could be like an LLP. But I don't want no non-accredited investors, no going outside. I don't want to get super complex. You know,
So then that question is, do we want to set it up so we can just buy one property at a time and kind of use the same structure for each deal, and whoever wants to get in gets in? Or do we want to set up a fund structure with like a mission, like we're going to invest in distressed office buildings in downtown areas, you know, in the next couple of years?
Well,
and that's just the mission, and any properties that come across, you don't really get investors on a deal by deal basis. It's more just bought by the funds. So that's kind of a threshold issue.
so we get a couple of hands up, but my thinking initially is this would not be deal by deal. This would be people that see the long-term vision, that want to keep rolling and flipping and growing. Like we all make money doing other things. This is not something, hey, I'm in for a little bit and out, just my opinion. It's something that we grow at least to X amount before there's distributions, unless there's an emergency, like in the family. That's my thinking. But Tyler, you had your hand up?
I mean, some of like the feedback that I've gotten when doing these is like, I think it would be good to do it as a syndicate basis on the first couple, just so that way we can prove our track record and say, hey, look, these are, you know, a couple deals that we've done, right? Before people jump right into the fund. I've noticed that it's a lot easier to sell people and get them to invest if they're investing in a specific asset, as opposed to saying, I'm going to invest your money in this invisible, bundle of properties. And also,
I don't have personal experience, but one of the funds I'm invested in, they always send an email. They're like, oh, we got this great property we're acquiring in Dallas, get in now. And I'm like, why do you guys talk about this like you're investing just in the property? He's like, well, that's how we get people to invest money. Even though they're putting into a fund that it owns a bunch of properties, they can't sell into the fund. They're selling into individual properties. So I just wanted to say, I've seen that out there too.
Yeah, so I think obviously doing that, right? But I think also from like being a new group of people working together, I think it would be good to start on a syndicate basis to make sure that everybody is doing their part and pulling their weight. Because the last thing you want to do is have this huge fund and, you know, multiple people supposed to be doing certain things, and then, you know, people really not like holding true to what they agree to do. So, I mean, obviously that's my opinion. Everyone feel free to disagree, but
Ara and then Kevin.
I don't disagree. I think that's the correct, that's a better approach, not correct or wrong. Much like what Dave does, SPVs for single purpose investment or for special project investment. We can copy that model initially, maybe go over one or two, but that doesn't mean that it should be either or. We can eventually create a fund and yet still have. I'm just throwing some example out. Don't anybody get hung up on it. If let's say we want to invest in hospitals or hotels, let's say, but we don't want to do that in the fund. But there's 5 people who really want to put in $1 million each and want to buy 5 hotels, 2 hotels, 3 hotels. We can always do that special thing on the side. So it's not gonna, I don't think it's either or. I think it's, you start with the small, we grow it, we prove ourselves, we go to the fund, but we always keep this other vehicle open for others. My opinion.
Yeah, I guess I would say if we do that, that we would have any deal that comes in. We'd want to have it structured that the entity gets to look at it first, and if they reject it, then if any 3 or 4 people want to do it, they can go ahead and do it on a SPAC. Now, Chris, by what Tyler said there, would it be easy to roll something in? So a good example, let's say Tyler's got I forget how many units, 40 unit building or something like that, ready to go with that extra 60 units buildable. It was going to cash for like 400K a year. It seems like a really good like core starting point because it's a cash flowing entity. Numbers look good on it. It's not too big. If we did that on a special purpose one-off and we all loved it, could we roll that into the new entity?
I'm sure there's a way to do it. I don't know offhand. I'd have to talk to one of my securities attorneys, but I don't see. I think we could.
So that's a question for you. I just want to make sure that we, I mean, I guess you could all. It could be a separate thing. I just do we want 100?
Yeah, you definitely could. Okay, let me back up. Now that I'm thinking about it, you definitely could do. You can. It's just a transaction. So you would just sell it to the fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you're doing. You got to set up the funds and then you got to sell it to the funds.
Okay. So that even makes sense too, because Tyler, if we end up doing that one you wanted or that you have, that's a cash flowing entity, right? So we could cash flow the entity and use the funds from that to create, because it costs money to create a fund. That's the structure and the setup, right? Get some assets flowing into the entity, get our feet wet,
And just for the record, I already have docs for a fund ready to go, built out for Connecticut specifically, right? So obviously, if that was the market that we want to decide to go into, then we could probably just run with that. I already paid for most of it, right? Obviously, if it's in a different state, it would have to be redone, but just that is there.
We might want to run it by tax. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. Tax attorney. If there's going to be any consequences for the fund itself, not for us, where it's incorporated or where it's formed or founded.
I guess that depends if we do a special purpose one-off or if we create the fund, right?
Well, I'm talking about the fund right now.
So we're doing it from a Delaware. I believe we're doing it from a Delaware entity. But it's just.
I don't think. We said we're going to take baby steps, and we already kind of decided that. We said we were just going to syndicate this first deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do anything fun later. About, yeah. I mean, I think that's what I heard.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Kevin, is that your hand?
Yeah. I mean, I think what Tyler was touching on, like any track record has to be established, and also the dynamic of how the team works together is super important because. Everybody's in, but then there's a certain amount of engagement you can actually participate in the operations. So jumping to the fund, I think it could be an and over time, but a fund right off the bat is going to be more costly. We wouldn't have the track record and we wouldn't really know how the dynamic works internally. So the syndication it is probably the best way, even though we have a great collective experience. Single asset to tell the story, to tell the story of the team, it's much easier to do that.
Okay. Sounds like that's decided. Everybody agree on that? Yeah. Makes sense. Very cool. What about the accounting side of the deal? Which I don't think is a huge deal. I mean, we all have CPAs, but
I run all of my properties through AppFolio, which all of the rents are paid online. All of the bills run through the property and it generates P&Ls, literally expense reports. It gives you everything you need. All you need is some admin in office to facilitate it. Other than that, you just have your third party CPA prepare like the K1s or whatever at the end of the year.
Tyler, is your admin staff like pretty sophisticated with entering all the data? Like, are they?
Yeah. So the one that I have now, she used to work for a CFO assistant, so she was doing like 95% of his work. So she definitely has, the experience. Obviously she is one person, so obviously if it gets to the point where it's like my portfolio and this one we probably obviously have to add to it.
Yeah, I'm using a third-party bookkeeping service right now. I'm redoing all my books. Unfortunately, it's really easy for unsophisticated bookkeepers to mess up simple things.
Yeah.
And part of the investor experience is how quickly we can get K1s to them. And proper books are essential to be able to deliver those to a CPA so we can get K1s out by, January, February. So small thing, but also can lead to sentiment issues if not done properly.
I agree.
So it sounds like that would be a good initial starting place for the first deal anyway, is to use what you have, Tyler, and then at some point you start to get into enough deals and or transactions or rents and stuff like that. We'd probably have a full-time assistant or some person that's a full-time.
Yeah.
What would that full-time hire be, guys? It's administrative and clerical, but what would you, is it just an admin or?
I mean, like what she does for me right now is she's communicating with all the tenants, she's coordinating maintenance, she's checking all the delinquencies, she's notifying my team of any upcoming move outs, she's organizing the expenses within the system, and that pretty much like, covers most of that. And then other than that, you really just need a leasing agent, and then a project manager. And you should be able to like facilitate it.
More like a property manager, that's what you described.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little, right? It's just a matter of like how much they need to do. Because like as of right now, if she was just doing the bookkeeping, then it probably wouldn't be enough.
Let's see.
For that, having somebody, once again, I'd say like on the daily, put in transactions. On our 40-unit building in Tampa right now, we're turning over all the units and there's a certain dynamic of going back and forth with the contractor. So there's a lot of like daily minutia that if somebody is not very specific on entering things quickly, you can easily lose track of the details. On our property management company, we started to like silo individuals so that they're staying focused on like one thing. So like one person's coordination with maintenance, one's billing, one is customer service. That way there's like a single point of responsibility. Because Tyler, you're like administrative fractional CFO, like that's a lot of talent to stay organized across the board. Unfortunately, not that many people are that talented to do it all.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like you're 100% right that like as you grow, right, give each person one specific job so they stay accountable. I think it's just like getting to that point where you can have one person employed for each part of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think depending on the deal type, if it's in Connecticut, Tyler's got a company. If it's in one of Kevin's spaces, sounds like he's got a company. And again, your property management companies would get paid for what they're doing, from the syndicate. If it's in an area like maybe we find something in Texas down where Chris is, then we'll have to source a local property management company and they'll just be part of the numbers. So again, if we have something in-house, great. But if not, we source and we vet and source in those areas. And Texas is a hot spot, Tennessee, I mean, the Carolinas, Florida. So there's a lot of places where we might not physically have, property management companies, but we'll have to source those and then figure out, again, the vetting team for vetting the property management companies.
I can help out with the property management aspect since we're unfortunately deep in that space for better, for worse.
Fortunately, what do you mean? Fortunately.
Yeah, I know. I'm being hard
also part of LP and a couple of syndications that have stuff in Texas and Florida. So I know the people who run those, the GPs, so I can certainly help if we need property management. They've already vetted them. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a great manager in Florida. They've been doing an awesome job with us in Tampa. They also have a presence in Jacksonville and Orlando.
Awesome. I was thinking, initial funds, like, and again, I've never started a syndicate. Do you get whoever's interested in Elite 100 each throw in $1,000 or something, kick up whatever 20, 30K for initial funds, or?
About right.
Something like
Yeah.
you need something, right? Just if people are starting to spin their wheels a little bit, they need to get covered. If any of you are using some of your resources, this payroll, contracts, we gotta see. What I would do is probably present it either on a Tuesday or maybe at the Chicago event. It might be the best way to do it. If we can get it all nailed down here, we present it at the Chicago event. Each throw in $1,000, and then we form it and start. We can look at deals before that, but so you guys agree on that? Like whoever's interested, throw in 1,000.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, traditional structure is a GPLP, so we would just need the initial funds for the general partnership.
Okay.
I think if we we're talking about presenting at Chicago, this is just my thought on this, but I would like to mention to the potential LPs that our plan is to end up with a fund.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
I don't want to constantly be searching for money on each syndication. I'm an LP in a fund that's I think it's $35 million. And so he's just constantly going and getting new deals, and we get presented deals, but you're not raising money. So that just seems easier. I mean, I get what Tyler's saying, Kevin are saying about start with one syndication, but I think our goal should be to get to the fund.
I mean that's my thinking. What do you guys think about that?
For sure.
The general, okay.
That's how I'm kind of like putting it out to people too. You know what I mean? It's really starting the syndication base. Let us prove our track record. Let us show you that we know what we're doing. Then roll it into a full blown fund. And then at that point, you at least have like a track record that you could present to them, along with obviously everyone's credibility.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Oh, hey, Eric just jumped up. I was going to ask him, where is he? Tennessee? Is that where's Eric?
He keeps popping. His signal must not be good. He keeps popping in and out. He's
Because I thought, isn't he out of Tennessee?
no, he's out of Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay.
You
Never
know,
mind.
the thing is that he's in a hot spot. He's been crushing flips, crushing
Yeah.
them, like having a record year. I guess we'll go get him to speak here.
There he is.
Pop him back on.
Not only flipping, but he also has a great investment of, I believe, elderly housing. That's what he was telling me, if I got it right, if I remember
Mhm.
right, which is generating a lot of cash. So hopefully he can.
See if we can get him to jump on. Let's see. Oh, just so you guys know, Chris is actually closing a deal. He's just signing on a deal. So that's what we do.
Nice. I wanted to ask if we have like a, well, I guess I'll just say this specifically. I've got a friend who does assisted living facilities in Florida and has like it's either 14, I can't remember how many, but it's over 14 of them. And because the boomer population he's just crushing it in that field. So I didn't know if we're just sticking with regular, apartments.
It's whatever we want. And that's the purpose of this too. We can start to spitball. So obviously, Tyler's expertise is in, multifamilies, like sounds like 30, 50 units and up. I think that's a sweet spot. I'm not a fan of like straight commercial space. Just it doesn't sound, everybody's shaking their head.
I mean, I have like I got a couple 55 and older communities that I'm working on. One's 100 unit and the other is 104, right? And those are, I think they're 52 and older, 55 and older. Those are, we're not really like taking care of people there, right?
Right.
But I don't know, you probably could incorporate some type of service into that if you really wanted to.
Well, I think it's that same population that you're serving. So that could definitely be, those are thing that's great about those is that they're low. What do I say? The people generally have steady income. They're like low chaos, not a bunch of young hooligans running around, low vandalism, things of that nature. It's a good.
lot of them are paid by the state too, so it's guaranteed money.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guess we can, as we get further into this, we can talk about like a real assisted living, but it's more than that. Obviously, it's like,
You know who else does that is Kevin Lee.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Kevin
Good.
Lee and Serena. Serena's coming into the Elite 100. She's in the inner circle right now. She's actually going to be at the Elite Retreat, but she's coming in. They together they do assisted living deals, and they're heavy cash flowing things, but they're a high amount of they're high touch.
Mm.
They're they're pretty high touch, so it's not an easy lift. So we would just make sure we would just need to make sure we get the right, like, you know, if we're gonna do one, it needs to be big enough to make it worth its while, and we need local representation that's 100% managing it, that we know, like, and trust. That'd be the only.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to another question. Are we, and this is not something necessarily for today, but are we thinking of investing money in other funds that are out there? Like, in other words,
I wasn't, but we could. I mean, once we get big enough, I was mostly thinking about the deals that we attract and that we build. But it's I would say if we get bigger and bigger and bigger, I mean, we could, right?
I think it also depends on how much capital we have access to, right? If you have like access to a ton of capital, then it might make sense to look outward. But like if we're restricted, then it might make sense just to build internally.
I think initially we have way more deals than we can fund. just talking to you guys. I think there'll be more deals than we can fund initially. So, but I think that's something we could be open to. What do you guys think about storage facilities?
yeah, I love those. Love
So
those.
that's one of the things, especially down here in Florida. I know what I pay for my unit, and it just keeps jacking up and up and up. And it's like, wow, I'm looking around doing the math, right? And there's like two people working, and it's hundreds of, So, it takes quite a bit of capital to acquire one of those. But I think down the road, especially in Florida,
Necessarily, Brian.
no,
There are a lot of locations. There are people who actually have specialized brokers in this, that they find your location and you can go build it. Building it is minimal cost. Minimal.
yeah, there's not much to them. Yeah, and staffing up.
I was gonna do one here in Waltham, and the son of a bigger purse, a deeper pocket beat me to it by $50,000. So it happens all the time. It's a cash cow.
Yeah.
I think they're also probably easier to manage.
Yeah,
Parking lots.
my family had a one in Rhode Island. They sold it to a guy, and in like a year, he sold it for 5x, and then it just sold again for 2.5x on the second amount. So
Jesus.
they're just, everybody wants them. So yeah.
You must be kicking yourself on your family's behalf.
My dad is fine. He doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be in Central Falls, Rhode Island. He's in Florida, so I'm happy he's out of it. And my friend bought it, so
Mhm.
that was great too. So yeah.
Oh, good deal. Win-win. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, multi-unit residential, flips and holds, possibly assisted living, but again, the assisted living is a heavy lift. So
Well, I was just, sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking that if you do invest in another fund that does assisted living, you can almost learn off of them because you're part of it. I like that idea, because this guy who I know is crushing it in Florida in assisted living facilities. So it's a thought.
It's a great asset class. It's a medical facility placed on top of real estate. So you have to keep in mind it's more operational than it is the real estate component. But I mean, it's a great trajectory because of the aging population. Florida is phenomenal for that. You want to be close to, medical facilities so you can attract the nurses and talent there. It's a good opportunity, but once again, heavy lift, as Brian was saying.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. And listen, as the Elite 100 grows, like, let's attract somebody that's a master in these things into the syndicate. I'd rather have somebody that's already crushing it, and they have, a couple of hundred doors in assisted living, but they need access to capital. They come into the Elite, they bring all their expertise. We fund the shit out of it. They run it. So right now we don't have an expert on this panel that's an expert in assisted living, but I wrote it down as a possible future asset class. Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we should focus on with you know, what our current expertise is. You know what I mean? I think down the road, I think it would be cool to look into. You know, from my standpoint, I can't really bring any value from like an operational, you know, standpoint from that. So like for me, like I think that there's a ton of opportunity in multifamily. Right. And that's the space that I know. So that's where I would like to, you know, play first, but obviously it's a group decision. So
Yeah, I think we're on the. It looks like everybody's heads was nodding. Let's start with what we know and then grow
and I do have 2 deals that I can, you know, present or at least give you guys some like rundown on that's currently in the pipeline, right? Just kind of get our wheels turning a little.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're at that place. You want to? I'll give you a screen share. Why don't you show the ones that you showed me there? Let's see. Oh, what about minimum investment? You guys have an idea? Do we care? Is it 100K, 50K?
I mean, 100K is ideal. I think anything less than 50 is not worth our time.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Feel the Elite 100, I'd rather have 100K.
100K, okay.
I know most of them have 50, but I thought we're going big, so that's just.
I think that was the consensus. You know, we keep using that. It is the Elite 100, so it seems like there's a natural tendency there.
Okay, so this is the one. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
This is a deal I'm working on right now. I should have an idea on Friday if he's gonna accept my offer, if he's gonna go up a little bit. 60 units. It was built in 1999, so it's a newer asset. It's a great location. Oh, fuck, hold up. So if you look at the map, right, you got a lot of great stuff around it. So this is like the main like downtown area. It's right along 95. So right over here, right? So this is where the property is. Right here, you have a nice beach, right? Over here, you have another nice beach, right? Over here, you have like a nice little boardwalk, right? So it's a nice location, right? The other thing about the deal that I really like is that the guy that is selling it to me agreed to also sell me a piece of land adjacent to it, which is, where'd this thing go? Oh, here it is. Right, so here's the property, and then this piece of land here, he's agreed to sell it to me for $400,000 subject to approvals. So you could potentially build another 60 units here, right? So you have 60 here, 60 here. And if you have a total of 120 units, now you could bring in an institutional buyer and sell it at a more compressed cap rate, right? From like an analyzation of things, right? Just high level, you know, going in right now, we're sitting at about 7.4 million, which on entry is a 7 cap. You know, I'm extremely confident in being able to raise the rents almost double, because the guy has just literally kept them the same since he built it, right? So stabilized, probably around 11 cap, right? So if we were conservative and we're like, hey, let's retrade this at a 7 cap basis, we would essentially create about $4 million in value, right? So these units are in great shape. So I got a bunch of pictures actually for you guys here. Like I got like the little videos that I got. So most of the units have balconies. There's sufficient parking. Really, really just a solid asset. You know, it's in good shape. Doesn't need a ton, right? Let me see. Just like little cosmetic stuff. So this is all the kitchens, right? So they're in good shape. You can literally go in here, upgrade the appliances, paint the cabinets white, and call it a day. In here, just upgrade the vanity, little paint. You're good to go. So, you know, really, you know, maybe replace the carpet or whatever. So really minimal CapEx, which is something that I really like. You know, these units are absolutely massive. So this was like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit that like he was renting for $1,200. He could get $2,500 all day. So that's like one deal that I'm working on right now. This is a second one that just came through my desk. It's 104 units in Jacksonville. And let me see. So this is off market. They're direct to seller. This is like pre-market, so they haven't brought it out yet. If I can, this thing wants to fucking load. So it's a nice complex, right? It has a pool, right? Right now, the average rent is $870, right? Extremely low. So they had a little fire that took out one of the buildings. So they're giving us like a pretty good price on it. So like right now, I think we're hovering around 8.7, which would be probably about like a 6.5, 7 cap on entry. And then if you could bring the rents from average of 870 to 1265, which in Florida seems reasonable, you should be able to get it to stabilize. Now, I didn't work in the increase in taxes here, so it probably stabilized closer to a 9.5, right? But if you did turn around and sell it, you would be able to add a good amount of value. But again, this market, I'm not really I don't know enough on to say if it's like a really good deal or not. But as far as this one in Niantic, like I know this is a home run slam dunk opportunity. So I should know either tomorrow or Monday where we stand with that. But like that could definitely be something that could kick it off. Anyway.
Hey Tyler, is it owner managed right now or
Yeah.
professional?
Yeah.
Right.
So the Jacksonville one, I believe, I'm not sure, I would have to know that, but the one in the 60 unit, that is self-managed. The guy
Yeah.
built it 30 years ago, and he wasn't even looking to sell it. We kind of just bothered him, and then he gave us the opportunity. So
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a good sweet spot for self-managed mom and pops, like in that 20 to 60 range in terms of
Yeah.
units. It's a good move. Do they allow for short-term rentals there?
Yeah.
Airbnb?
Yep,
Okay. Probably recommend doing a hybrid over there.
good, absolutely, because you're right by the beach too. So
Yep. Yeah, it wouldn't be too difficult. We have a handful of those being managed, and if you have the right amenities, then it's easy to attract people. Like hybrid model.
yeah,
From a high level, the deal looked pretty solid. I mean, of course, got
Yeah,
to
no,
dive
when
into.
when he showed it to me, I was like, that might, and we were even talking like that one might even be a good one to hold,
oh
generate
yeah, for
cash
sure.
flow, and that's the thing too. Certain deals we can hold.
I
And
mean, so sorry, not to cut you off, but yeah, to your point, like yeah, I didn't get into the bottom part. I probably should have. But upon stabilization, if we leave our money in, it's like a 20% cash on cash, and it should cash flow 396,000 a year. So, it would be a great deal to like hold, or we could sell it and and flip it to the next one.
You gotta figure out what part of Jacksonville it is because you don't want to every part of Jacksonville.
What part of Jacksonville?
Yeah.
so Chris Patterson could tell us like if the neighborhoods are, good, bad, or ugly. And
Yeah,
then
tell me too.
It's let me see, Highlands.
I can find out. I'm not an expert there. My partner is down there. He can figure it out. Some
It-
areas that we need a machine gun to go walk around. So
It looks like it's the Highlands area, but it's next to College Park, Turtle Creek,
uh,
Garden City.
I can find out very quickly.
You want me to just send you the address?
If you don't mind.
I just posted that.
so then so let's say the one that's in Connecticut, right? What are the next 1, 2, 3 steps for this group in order to if we wanted to think about we know we want to establish it. Step one, check. We have a common goal. I think we have common assets that we want to acquire. I guess we need to form the people that are sort of on the vetting team, and I think that could change a little bit over time, obviously as the Elite 100 grows. And people may want to even come in and out of vetting, but we definitely need to have a vetting committee. Tyler?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say like from like if it's in Connecticut, I can handle almost all of it, right? From sourcing the deal to stabilizing the deal, managing it, managing the construction, just because I already have that built out here in-house, right? So it'd definitely be a lot easier for me to control, the assets within Connecticut. But again, if it's outside of Connecticut, then I probably wouldn't have as much of a hands-on.
Yeah.
But if since I already have property management, project management, all my contractors built out, it would make the most sense for me to facilitate those parts for like a Connecticut-based deal.
No, I would agree. I would agree. And Kevin, where are you? What areas do you operate in? Because you have a similar capability in certain areas, right?
Yeah, we're in Chicago. Um, I'd say, how do I say it? There are deals because the city's so big. Multifamily, I have my reservations on, but there are opportunities to make it work. It just with caveats. So full on operations in Chicago. In Tampa and St. Pete, I have a great construction crew partner. And then we have a good third party property manager. So
Okay.
ultimately, like if we have big enough assets, like we're gonna want to go third party most always, because especially property management, that leaves all the liability on them to make sure that it's properly. We have to manage the managers, which
Yeah.
is hard the structure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think my feeling is like a lot of people are attracted to Florida real estate. We have a lot of boots on the ground down here as far as members. Um, I like Tyler's deal as a good one. It's like right here, right now. We could probably get into it pretty easy, get some cash flowing type of thing, get our feet wet. Um, and then start to look at, deals in Florida, Texas, some of the states that are just like, there's no reason for us to not just go to the prime states with this group. I think we have the connections and, the best rental states, the best tax state, all the things, right?
yeah.
So maybe that's something we should think about as far as, what states do we want to, our wish list of states to operate in.
Yeah, real estate is people. So ultimately, I wish I knew this a decade ago. It's like, where's the momentum? And Florida is just hot. I mean, for lack of a better description, money's moving there. Everything's just going up. Of course, you don't want to catch properties at the top,
No,
but
exactly.
but if you buy properties with proper value add, or if you find situations, like Tyler's, owner operated, he's a
Right.
builder, operates like he's not a property manager. He doesn't know what he's doing. He builds stuff.
Mhm.
So those are those opportunities where there's margin to build an equity.
He's also like 90 years old too, so he's like, what is he gonna
Well, I
do?
think, correct me if I'm wrong, right now, those are the only type of deals we want to be getting into, right? We all got read The Riot Act by Dave Stecks in the family office, right? So
Yep.
we don't want to just buy stuff to buy stuff. We want to buy unique situations. And my personal position is we should always do the numbers, even if we're going to flip something. You damn well better make sure that if it doesn't go, that it's rentable and we can cash flow it. You always got to go with the plan B in real estate. So I think everybody's on the same page. So what other states? So Florida. So again, I hear Texas is amazing.
I think it would be good to maybe try and get ahead of some like growing markets, right? Like I've done some prospecting in Florida and there's definitely deals there, but I would say it's definitely a little bit more saturated because of the fact that everybody wants to be there,
Yeah,
right? And like, these people are getting harassed almost to the point where they're like, unless you want to pay me an absurd number, don't call
yeah,
me, right? Now,
yeah,
like obviously there are people that maybe aren't getting contacted, right? Maybe there's some people that maybe somebody just passed away, they inherited it, and now they're looking to sell it, so there still are those opportunities,
yeah.
but
So I
yeah.
have some pretty high level realtors down there, so I could work on that, like finding off market deals and things of that nature. And I think the other part about Florida is storage.
Yeah.
Finding, I think that would be something. What about the Carolinas, North and South Carolina? I hear those are up
So I
on.
know South Carolina isn't super friendly from an investment standpoint. I used to do a bunch of deals there and they have an investor tax,
Oh,
which is like now I don't know if it applies for bigger deals, but it was applying for the single families that we were buying and selling. And it was like a 3 or 5% tax. And it's like if you're an investor, they tax you on the sale. So
wow.
like that could dramatically eat into the profits. But on the flip side, that might mean there's more opportunity there. So, it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I just want to go with the states that you guys know, for whatever in your dealings that are good states. What about Tennessee? I hear a lot of good things about like the Nashville area. Nobody's got no experience there.
I've got some people, but Nashville 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha.
Alabama, Birmingham,
Hmm.
Birmingham, bunch of businesses that have moved down there.
Yeah, Birmingham's good. I had a property there a while back.
Nice.
I have a friend in Nashville. He does a lot there. I mean, we could poke around.
Like I said, I think the first deals are going to come in some of our own backyards from like the one Tyler's bringing up, right? Len?
So Eric does real estate in the South Carolina, Charleston area. So we can always ask him to look around and find out if it's investor friendly and other opportunities. I believe that's another city that's very active. And I do like your idea about storage units. And when you have transient people, like in that Charleston area, I think storage units would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gentlemen, as long as we're on that track, let's not rule out, and I think we're shooting with a shotgun here instead of concentrating, which is fine because it's the first meeting.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna go that route, then storage, just like Len said, would be, or you said, but also parking lots. Like Massachusetts, Boston, Brian, you know this better than anybody here. I knew lawyers who sell their bars and buy parking lots. And they got richer by the minute. So if we have the chutzpah, that's one of the things that we need to jump in because it's very low maintenance, overhead maintenance, and
You know, that's something I didn't even think of as parking lots. But yeah, but you get into some like, you know, Boston, New York, you get into cities, I mean, it must cost a fortune to acquire, but if you get the right deal, the right time, like you said, an older family or something, no less maintenance than a parking lot, huh?
Brian, as a matter of fact, what we did once, well, this is many years ago, behind what now is the Taj in Boston, there was a residential building that I was part of it. We bought it, we changed it to a parking lot, believe it or not. This is right on the Common, Boston Common, but we changed it to a parking lot, and that has changed, just like Michael's story, it has turned over so many times. My numbers, or we sold them, they're nothing, you know, today's numbers are nothing compared to that. But it's 30 or 40x. So there's some money to be made there. But again, I think, in my opinion, we should really start with what we know. Tyler, Kevin, whatever, others who do this multi-unit deals. Let's get 1, 2, 3 under our belt. And then next month, the following month, let's widen the array a little bit. Because you never know, not only the deals, but also we might not be able to work together. Maybe too many chiefs here. I'm just saying we're gonna.
No, I think I would be open to that as a class. I mean, I didn't even think of it, right? And the other thing is, and I got to wrap this up. I have a meeting in 4 minutes, so I definitely need a part 2 of this. I'll get something with the same for next week so we can continue. But I think we've checked off. Yes, we want to do it. We have minimums. We have a team. Like we checked off a lot of boxes today. I'll get this circulated. But there's also when we acquire a property is the solar aspect, monetizing the roofs, which is Ara's an expert in, guys. So, or parking lots and monetizing the solar in the parking lots is another thing. So, with
This one has a flat roof too, so
yeah. So there's that component as well. So, anybody, any last minute comments, questions? I think the next thing to do is I'll get these minutes together. We'll meet again probably next week, sooner than later, to keep the ball rolling. Because Tyler, how long is that deal on the table? Like, what's the deal with that?
So I have a contract out. He already verbally accepted it. His kids were giving him a hard time a little bit about the numbers. So I was like, dude, just get an appraisal, right? And then I talked to him, and the appraisal's supposed to be back tomorrow. And I asked him, I was like, if we're in the ballpark, are you ready to move forward and sign? And he was like, yeah.
Okay.
So just waiting to see where that kind of comes in, and then I'll have some clarity there.
Okay. And then
From there, I think I told him we're doing it's either like a 60 or 90-day close.
Okay.
You know, he's not like 30-day close, got to do it right now. Like he's got time.
Okay. Well, that's good, because if we're going to do that, it buys us time. And then, you know, Chris Johnson, are you still here? CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
What, you know, forming an entity like, you know, we probably won't, we're not going to raise enough to buy that thing cash. So there'll be a bunch of people kicking money in and then going collectively for a loan, I'm guessing. Yeah.
You would just need
Yeah.
Probably 20 to 30%, depending on what kind of loan you want to go in with.
Yeah.
If you go with a bridge, we can probably put in as little as like 15-20% equity. If
Yep.
you want to have it as a long-term stabilized debt, you're probably going to have to put in closer to 30%.
Okay. So let's talk about this on the next meeting, and probably next Thursday if you guys can do it. I'll circulate in the group, in the WhatsApp group. But I think this is a good start, guys. I think we get same page, same like-minded, like ideas for the thing. I think it's an excellent start, and I think we could really collectively do a lot of damage here. But
Tyler, are you okay with sharing the numbers now, or you want to wait?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. The only thing is it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's not like 100% final, but I can share, you know what I mean? Not really worried about it.
Yeah, I just want to look at them. That's all.
Yeah. Shoot me an email and I'll forward it to you.
I think you have my email, but okay. you got
we
it.
have the group too. If you want to post in the group, the WhatsApp group, let's put it there. That way, if anybody wants to look at it, can look at it. So.
Sure.
Awesome, everybody. Well, great first meeting. I think we have a good, good game plan on the structure, the minimum, all the things, the people. So this was really productive. Appreciate you all. And I'll send out an invite and figure out the next time we can meet.